I'll call the meeting to order, then we'll mute ourselves and she can, Mr. lead us in the pledge.
You're good to go.
All right, I will call this public meeting to order. The time is 7:04. Please stand for the statement of Pledge of Allegiance led by Marissa Zarcone.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I was really nervous I was going to mess it up.
Don't worry. You know, you're not Enrico Palazzo. And see if anyone knows who Enrico Palazzo is. Okay. We've moved out of executive session. Actually, is there a motion to move out of executive session? I forgot to do that before.
I'll make a motion.
All right, second by John. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed or abstaining? Motion carries. Very good. All right. I'd like to call for a motion to accept the consensus agenda items as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Anything to discuss on those items? All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed or abstaining? Motion carries. Call for a motion to accept the personnel report as submitted.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All right. Any items you separate or vote on or to discuss? All right. All those in favor, then please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed or abstaining? Motion carries. All right. Capital Project Committee.
I don't know. You want to speak to it, Dan?
Sure.
Really?
Yeah, Bob and I spoke the other day. It looks like it'll probably be end of February, maybe beginning of March, until we get the plan back from our architects and construction management company as to the work that was pulled out of the project that we put back in with kind of a timeline, and then what would be left. So once they know that we'll have that information, then we'll set up a time for capital project committee to meet.
We said something like February, right?
Yeah, probably. They should think they'll have it ready by the end of February.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions or comments about the Capital Project Committee? Tanya, it's great out here. You guys should be out here right now for the meeting. It's beautiful out.
They even got rid of the snow. That's good.
Yeah, you know,
Man, looks.
yeah, very good. It's a snowblower. It literally is a good machine to just blow with the snow off with. All right, Policy Committee, Julie.
I am not aware of anything that is happening at the moment.
No, we got in some new quarterly reports, so we'll be sharing those out soon, and then we can get together after that.
Sounds good.
All right, very good. All right, ex officio student members report, Marissa.
Okay. So I'll start off with like a positive thing. Before break, we had like our spirit week, and one of the things we did was like a door decorating contest, which was between homerooms and stuff. So they would like get together and decorate the doors, and that was a really good thing. Like it really like helped spreading like school spirit and like good like vibes, I guess. And one of the things that was really nice about it, I remember like Mrs. Biscati told us about how like Mr. Cerny like came up to her and like said how awesome it was that the school was doing that. It really like got kids in the class involved because it's a weird year, and like with the masks on, like people aren't really talking as much, but it got people who are normally like more quiet, like active and like participating in the class and coming up with new ideas to kind of like make the door cool. And Mr. Cerny's door ended up winning, so they get a free breakfast. It was cool. They did like, I can't remember. It was like a Yeti theme though, but that was cool. But there are a bunch of cool ones, and they're on like the Facebook page and stuff. So that was one good thing. I guess like another thing I guess I'll talk about is like from a student's perspective, like today was like a really like weird day at school. And like honestly, like when like I heard the announcement, I was like during my lunch about like school going virtual for like the next 2 weeks or so. I wasn't really surprised. Like I'm like during the day, like I noticed like teachers were being quarantined and like a bunch of my friends were being quarantined, and it was just definitely like it's a problem. So it'll be good to kind of like refresh for a little bit, and kind of, do the remote. And I think, with the 2 weeks we had in the beginning of the year, like we're all kind of like prepared for that, and it'll be good, starting that. And I was like talking with a few people, and I did have like a question about like the whole like Zoom thing. Like I know like right now it's temporary, but like if it were to like last longer than the 2 weeks we have right now, like would it ever like happen that like we join Zoom classes like every day instead of like just on our like red black days? Like I don't know if that's like a possibility like going forward, like in the future.
Good question, Marissa. So we said that if we knew that we were gonna be out for a long period of time, we would reconvene our continuity of learning committee, right? So if for some reason it doesn't look like we would be able to come back on the 19th, which I anticipate we will, but if for some reason we couldn't, we would reconvene that committee and talk about all the different possibilities, depending on how long we thought we'd be in the same predicament. Good question. Really good question.
Okay, well, thank you. And then yeah, that's all I really have to say for right now. So
That's great.
Any questions of Marissa? All right, President's report. We have the legislative breakfast coming up. Well, the virtual, I should say, breakfast coming up. Julie will cook for us, and John, you're also on the committee for cooking. You have to go and deliver it to all of our houses. So if you are going to attend, though, please let Maureen know so that, we do have a number from our district that will be representing virtually. So, and other than that, I'm going to defer Dan, do you have a question
Yeah, can
about
I
that?
just add that the date of that virtual legislative update is what they're calling it this year. It is the 23rd, Saturday, the 23rd, 9 to about 10:30 is what I think is the time for it. Right?
So, all right, I'm going to defer the rest of my report over to Dan because we've talked a lot of stuff and I know he's going to cover a majority of it. So,
Great, thanks. First, thank you. Thank you to our families. We had no problem getting the number of people, the percent that we needed of people to come in to get tested. And that included having one of those days being over the break. I want to, say great job to Mr. Stack, who really organized, orchestrated that whole thing. It worked really well using the outside nursing group. It worked well. Again, we had 4 cases out of 677, very small percentage, less than 1%. And, we were really, of course, happy with that. Just to touch on what Marissa already did a fabulous job talking about. Today, we had to make the decision at the high school to move to remote learning until the 19th. Tuesday, the 19th. That's when students will return back. It's obviously not a decision we took lightly, as far as I'm concerned. It's like it's a loss. We wanted to make sure we could keep this thing running, and quite frankly, the reason why we thought if we had to move remote, we would have to move remote is exactly what happened, and that is staffing. Okay, we didn't have the number of substitutes to cover the teaching vacancies, which, as you can imagine, are related to COVID, many related to COVID, many of them quarantines because of being in contact with students or other staff members who were positive. So we just got to the point where we knew we couldn't plug those holes, and quite frankly, I have a guess that in the next few days it might be worse rather than better. And let me share this. We had a time in November where we actually had more teachers out than we had out today. But we had many subs who were out there and available. Right now, the substitute pool in our area is negligible. I mean, we're all pulling from the same group, and there's many people who are not coming into sub right now. So we're, of course, always interested in taking substitutes on, but we understand the difficulty of that for some people to make that decision during this peak time of COVID. So that said, our plan is to return on the 19th. So everybody should assume that we are. And the only way that we won't is if you hear something different from us because of the data, because we, realize that we still wouldn't have the staffing to come back then. Okay.
Dan, just to piggyback on the piece with the sub short, the problem with subs and everything. Well, another issue that's come up is that because people have taken off and with extended family FMLA, that there's a lot of subs who would have been available have been hired as long-term subs are permanently in districts too, which
Sure.
have taken out of that pool. I know that is also a concern because you got to remember, there's not just still COVID out there. There's people who get hurt, they have surgery scheduled, other things going on where there's subs that are locked up and put into those situations. So the pandemic has amplified a growing problem in not just New York State, but the rest of the country with teacher shortages. I mean, the teacher prep programs are down 53% this year. So it's not going to get any better, especially with the looming, if there's a retirement boom all of a sudden, you're going to be looking at even worse sub shortages.
Yeah, and then COVID just makes it even more difficult. So yeah,
Mhm.
good point. So that touches on the move to remote for the high school. We also made a move today to at Tuscarora Elementary School to move to completely remote. That was not because of staffing shortages. That was really out of an abundance of caution because of a couple cases that we had there, positive cases, and just the nature of them. So we're going to be in remote learning at Tuscarora School for all the students there until the 19th of January as well. Okay. Staying with the COVID topic here, vaccinations. We have an opportunity every week, the superintendents do, to meet with our director of health for our county, Niagara County. And this week, Dan Stapleton made it a point to let everybody know that, and I think many people know this, but that the vaccination rollout isn't happening as fast as everybody had hoped. Of the amount of vaccine that they expected to be out in New York State, at this point, we've achieved about 10% of that. It wasn't until this week that our county actually received their first doses, not counting the hospitals in our county. Okay. So, that pushes back and I think should in a lot of people's minds, the timeline for when everyone else is going to be vaccinated. So our nurses, our speech pathologists, people who have very close individual contact with students are now able to sign up to be vaccinated. Okay. The next large group, which is this group 1B, as they're referring to, deals with educators. I asked the question to make sure that it means everybody that's connected to the education system. So, our bus drivers, our administrators, our food service workers, our aides, our monitors, it's that whole group. Okay. We are the next group, but it's a big group. And the number of doses available in our area is the number one problem right now, as far as why the timeline isn't moving up sooner. So as far as what's an expectation for that part 1B group to be vaccinated, we're probably looking right now at the end of February, beginning of March. Okay, that's what unless the doses come in sooner. Remember, at least the ones that are out there now, I know there's 2 more coming, but they both require 2 doses. Okay, so everybody have to get their first dose and then get their second dose within whatever those time parameters are, and they're different for each of the vaccines. Any questions on vaccinations? Okay. Federal stimulus money for schools. The federal stimulus package, CARES Act 2, whatever, I don't know even if they ended up with a final initial name, but official name. But the CARES Act 2, that was very good for school districts. Okay. The funding amount in there was 4 times what was in the initial CARES Act for schools. So I'm cautiously optimistic that for next year, this is going to go a long way in filling our state's gap. Okay? The comptroller released a report recently, New York State Comptroller, that the governor's estimate of the revenues was significantly lower than what the revenues are. That's a good thing, okay? My biggest concern is that when the money does come in, because the second stimulus package does not include funding for local and state governments, that there's money then moved and shifted around. Okay, so when we talk to our legislators this coming month, one of the things that we're going to really ask them to do is make sure that the money that's earmarked for schools goes to schools, and that it doesn't mean that the state then takes large chunks out of the back end from what they were going to help fund schools. Okay, now that said, I will say it's the year after that I'm even more worried about, because how quickly will the economy really turn around? And unless there's another stimulus package, that those one-time payments to fill that gap, when they're no longer there, what fills the gap? So, but again, overall, I want to say positive, good news that went through. Okay, that was a very important thing. Had that not happened, I think we would have been looking at significant decreases in state aid funding for next school year. Okay, I also think that because there's been 2 CARE Acts now with money, that 20%
Yeah, that's.
withholding should go away.
Is that
There's no reason in my mind that gap for this year shouldn't be closed. But we'll see. Remember, it's only a withholding right now because that's all the governor can do.
Mhm.
Let's see. By our next meeting, we should have the governor's executive budget. The executive budget is the starting point for what our state aid amounts will be for school districts in New York State. It's always the starting point. So it'll be very interesting. We'll get a real good feel for how he's interpreting both revenues coming in, the federal stimulus dollars, and what that means for us. Okay, and we'll know that by our next board meeting. We already mentioned the legislative update. Oh, just wanted to mention, Marissa, if you're interested in that, you should receive, if you didn't already, from Ms. Mack, an invite to participate in that virtual meeting if you'd like.
Yeah, I did get that email. So yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
We held our CDEP, our Comprehensive District Educational Planning Committee meeting today, and pretty exciting to talk about some real positive things that are being planned for our district. One of them has to do with a virtual elementary movie night that's going to happen in the spring. No date's been set on that yet. The second is the next phase of our eco-campus project. We are going to do it. We believe that we can do it safely and we can plan it in a really safe way. We're going to really push the kind of family units to come together and maybe help us. So then we know that there were people who, you know, that they're around all the time anyway. They could go out, plant a little tree, wouldn't have to wear a mask. Pretty exciting. And then the third one has to do with wellness, and the wellness portion is going to be wellness for our school community. So there's going to be things put up on our new website, which is going to be coming out shortly. There'll be opportunities for families to take advantage of different activities, from yoga to cooking classes, things like that have been put out and put together by our staff for families to participate in during this unusual time. Any questions?
Do you have the exact date with the new website rolling out and hopefully all the social media stuff?
So within about a week, the website should be changed. The holdup there just so everybody knows, had to do with Apple and the app, because that's really one of the huge benefits of moving to this new site, is that there'll be an app that should make it just a lot more user-friendly, okay? So we got call permission today from Apple for that. So probably within a week, we should see the website up, and before the end of the month, Facebook, Twitter, those things by February 1st, those will be up and running.
Now, the app, what is it going to be, like our own name on the app?
Great question. Steve, I don't have the answer. That'll come out with the communication from Jeff once we finalize it. They just got
Okay.
that information today from him.
Okay.
Let's see. Athletics, the March 1st date is still in play for low to moderate fall sports that weren't played. The April 19th date is the low to moderate spring sport date. So those two dates are still out there. They're still in play. John, anything I'm missing there that you can add that's maybe new news?
I know the section executive council is meeting next Tuesday, and they are going to look at some of the high-risk sports. Whether we postpone them, whether we talk about wrestling, basketball,
Football, hockey.
not getting, football, cheer, competitive cheer, there's contact there, much the same as other sports, lacrosse. They're looking for some direction from the governor, and it hasn't been coming, but we're hopeful that something soon. Hoping that he may re-evaluate some of the sports that are high risk to make them medium risk, or so. Everyone's working on it. Nobody's ignored it at this point. It's just biding time. We have working on bowling schedules and swim schedules, and we've discussed virtual versus in person. And we met today for several hours, and hopefully,
As of right now, those sports are supposed to happen on the 18th, correct?
yeah, they are set to begin.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you. And last, I know I say this at every meeting, food service, please take advantage of it. If you are virtual or on days that you are home, if you're in a hybrid model, or for our high school who now until the 19th, or even Tuscarora until the 19th are at home, you can still come through, you can still pick up meals. Our food service staff will have them ready and available. Okay. I did want to mention one of the items under the personnel items. I just wanted to thank Greg Phillips for all of his work, his moving to a permanent status. He's done some great work in his time already here in our district. He is always thinking about the next step for our facilities department. And I'm just really happy to have him on board as one of our leaders in our district. And last, Allison had one item that was finance related that I just wanted her to have a chance to share. Some good news.
We have throughout the year, sometimes we are presented with assessment challenges, and we had one come forward from Niagara Realty where their assessment reduction was over $1.2 million. Working with our legal team, we worked to make sure that we did not lose out on any tax money. So they agreed to pay the taxes in full for the 2021 fiscal year, and that really saved us over $50,000. So I just wanted to let the board know that when it's big dollars like that, we will use our legal team to challenge those assessment and go after our tax money to make sure that we are paid in full. So we were able to collect all the taxes due on the prior assessed value, which is really a great accomplishment.
Isn't that the old Kmart?
I believe it is, yes.
Yeah, because it went through the town board. They reassessed it off, dropped it about almost $1 million.
Yeah, it was like 1.2263 million. They
Yeah.
dropped it.
So that's gonna drop next year then, right? Is that what the hell that works?
Yes, correct.
Sorry, really good on Alice and the business department for making that happen and work.
Yeah, that's
And
great.
being in tune with that and getting on top of it. Well, when it's real small dollar amounts, sometimes might not make sense for us to include our attorneys, but something like this absolutely did, and it was the right move. Good job, Alice. And that's all.
Any questions for the superintendent on his report? All right then. We have no reports to the board right now. Any items for board discussion? Okay. Any old business at this time? Any new business at this time? All righty then. Board member comments?
One
Okay.
comment for Marissa. How did the adopt-a families go with the trees?
It went really well. Mr. Pogel said that we got more donations this year than in past years, which is pretty awesome, especially like considering the circumstances of this year and everything, how it's so different. But I feel like people were like more willing to like donate and help out with everything going on. So that was good. And yeah, normally like I'm in sociology this year, so I was like really looking forward to like when taking the class, like going to the houses and like delivering all the like gifts and food, but obviously we didn't get to do that this year. But Mr. Pogel and like a couple other teachers, I think they went to Salvation Army and like it was kind of done there. I think like you know they had times for like the families to come pick up the stuff. So yeah, overall it was a huge success, which is really good. So yeah.
Okay, good.
Good. All right. Any other board member comments? If not, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed or abstaining? Motion carries.